I wanted to do another analysis. Last one I did was Tesla. I wanted to cover Enphase this time, ENPH. If you're wondering why I'm covering this name, if you're looking at the chart here and it looks like absolute crap, and that's exactly why I'm covering it. So with a lot of stocks, sometimes they're severely oversold and people think, oh, it's low, let me buy. Um, it must go higher. That's not the case, right? You can see how low Enphase has been. This is a monthly chart. We've had one, two, three, four, five red months in a row, one green month on the year. The chart looks terrible, right? But also, like I said, with some of these names that are extremely sold off, you do get these big squeezes at times, right? So that's why I'm covering this one. So I'm going to outline some key areas where you could potentially buy this name and set up for a bounce trade. Again, disclaimer, I'm not in phase right now. I may look to add a position myself, but please take this video at your own discretion. If you decide to get an entry, please be wise. Don't full port and just start loading up shares, right? So, as I stated before, whenever I'm looking at a big name to buy or any names to buy, I start looking for key areas of support, right? Where we bounce a lot of times. So let me just unhide here, drew up some levels before. So I'm gonna work my way down to daily time frame, right? And I'm gonna start with we're gonna go down here to some recent areas where we've been seeing some bounce at, right? So for key support right now, we see this 74.86-ish area right here. We had a bounce here, then reclaimed. For me right now, this is gonna be key to hold right now, right? So Enphase is around $78 right now. And a big area for us to clear is gonna be this 79.47. And then once we get up here, we do have this area here, which is you see it with some resistance here. We rejected and kept selling. But the big spot is gonna be this 84.58, 85 call it area, right? Why I say this is a big spot is because we have a huge gap fill right here. And there is kind of a rule of thumb or a thought behind gaps where that all gaps need to be filled. That's not always the case, but it is a huge gap to fill here. So let's say you loaded up shares at Enphase and you caught, say you got it over 80 bucks and you just traded for a clear of 85 into the gap fill. That's potentially a $12 play right there. That 12 points on that move. That's a huge move. You could capitalize off right there with itself. So that's just one small idea I'm looking at. But again, with these names that are extremely oversold, you have to pay attention to the downside, right? Because right now we've been selling so heavy that we're not at levels that we've seen since 2020. So let's go all the way back to 2020. So when we were back in 2020, you see this area here around 76.48 was on some weekly resistance here, turn support. Well, the support failed. So I'd like to see that area hold moving forward. Sorry, no, that's 76.48. 76.35, that area looks more like based off this line I have here. And then also we have this 74. I don't know why I've been looking that hard. 74.86 area here, right? So we want to see these two areas hold if you're going to start taking a position. A safer path could be to wait for a big resistance to clear to add shares to. So a psychological number I like is the $80 number, right? So maybe if Enphase clears 80, you could see also too, it was some support here on the weekly time frame around 79.47. This was also some resistance previously back in 2020 around $80. So I like the $80 area. Let's go to daily as an area to potentially clear, a safer area to clear to add shares. One thing I would say is if you're looking to start a position in Enphase right now, keep your risk extremely tight because, like I said, just because we sold off a lot doesn't mean we can't sell more. We could still sell lower. And if we were to sell lower, say you want to take an even higher chance of this trade bouncing and you want to get a lower price, you don't like this price here, right? I have some other levels I found of importance back in 2020. So this 72-ish level here, I found this level from back in 2020. Let's go to a weekly time frame. You can see we had a bounce here, one, two times here, and we really haven't seen that level since 2020. We didn't even get that to that this year yet. If we go to daily, you can probably see, sorry, it's 4 hour. We'll go to daily. You can see it bounce even more there. So the $72 level, actually, I like that level a lot, actually. If we were to pull lower, look how many times he bounced here. Let's zoom in a little more. That $72 level, all through August of 2020, we bounced a lot of times there. But once we lost that level, we did sell off pretty hard, and then it acted as resistance. Sorry, no, active resistance here. But once we cleared it, we just gapped and go. We flew higher. And now while we're on this level here, you can see that if we do get to 72 and we lose that level, you could also look at 70. So let's quickly recap. Right now we're around $78, right? The first levels I'm looking to hold based off where we're at 2020, you see the 76.35 level. If you start a position now, or if you're in already, I'd like to see this level hold, and then the $74 level. But the first level that's really important is the 76 level. If we do start bouncing there and you don't have a position yet, I look at that as a potential area to add some shares. So say you do add some shares around 76. I define my risk really tight though, and I put my stop under here at the $74 level. Maybe reassess, let things develop, and see what happens when we get down here. But it doesn't make any sense to hold from 74 all the way down to here if you could just re-add shares. I don't like holding on to losers. You could always cut and re-add. So my first level I'd say to hold is this one here. You could see again, previous resistance. Now, sorry, previous resistance that acted as support. So I'd like to see that hold. You see it acted support here too, 74. For the second level, we bounced here, well, resistance and support here. So I'd watch these two levels first as spots to hold. Again, if we lose these two spots, I look at 72 and then 70, and then under 70, honestly, we could see 65. And if I would say a very high quality zone to add, it would be that 65 level. And why I like that level is one, it's a whole around a whole number. So you see in the daily time frame, we had some kind of rejection here, not to the tick, but pretty close. Bounce here. And we also created some demand, right? So if we go to a 4-hour time frame, you could see we created some 4-hour demand here. You see a nice basing candle. A demand zone was created. We bounced out of here. We moved higher. We came back and retested this level, tested again, and moved higher. So it's not the most quality demand zone, but I like how we reacted out of the demand zone, right? Generally, I like to see a basing candle with a very strong move out right away. We didn't get that right away, but this area acted as support slash demand. So I'd say this area definitely would be more high quality if you're willing to be more patient and see if things get lower. I'm not saying we may not even see this level anytime soon, but in the event we did, I'd pay attention to the spot, right? So what you could always do is set alerts at these levels and see how price reacts there. Also, too, look at the volume when we got down here before, right? Look how strong that volume was when we moved up out of here. That's a lot of volume that we moved up off of. So that shows there's a lot of interest in this area. So for me, if I was to trade Enphase right now, right, and I wanted to be a little early to the party, I don't think right now is a bad time to start adding shares. I think let's see how the market opens on Monday. If we hold these first two levels here, maybe we pull back here, you could start a position. Or if we clear over 80, you could start a small position. So I look at those two options as a way to play it. And my first target to the upside is I'm over $80. After we clear this 79.63, 80, if you want to call it 80 bucks, I'm looking for a test to 85, right? I'm expecting heavy resistance there because you see how we rejected here. And there's probably some confluence here from early. Yep. 2020. This was, look at this rejection here back in 2020, bounce, and we just flew higher. So look at those levels. And then if we clear that, you could possibly see 92. And this was, again, daily support here, bounce here. We didn't really get as exactly to the point, but I kind of like this level because also it aligns with another gap fill. And the premise around gap fills is that gaps should be filled. It's not a guarantee. But again, that's the idea I'm going off of here, right? So quick recap. I want to see Enphase first clear $80 with conviction, right? Let's get over 80 and retest the area maybe around here and maybe bounce higher towards 85. If we can clear 85, we can see a gap fill up here. I'm not saying it's going to go straight up there, but the chances of it moving through the gap are higher than normal, right? And again, I'd look at more resistance here. You could even maybe say, if you want to be a little safer, watch this $90 spot for resistance. If you're trading shares, your risk isn't as high if you're trading options. I wouldn't recommend any option trades in this right now. Maybe wait a bit. If you're going to trade options, like I said, they clear 80 and you could buy some leap calls or something of that nature. But again, I'd be cautious. We've just now seeing one green day. There's some nice volume on that green day. But again, we want to see the market really prove itself with this name. So I'd pay attention to the overall market structure. If the S&P is strong, the Dow is strong, tech is strong, and then Enphase is showing some strength, it could be a good opportunity, right? So I pay attention to the overall market. And again, let's get over this $80 level. And if we come back and retest it, if you want to be safer and add shares there, you can do that for a test at 85. And if you're looking to play this with options, I would not recommend any short-term option plays in this right now. You want to see the name shape up a little more. Could it work? Absolutely. Anything could happen. You could wake up on Monday and this could gap up to $85 overnight. I'm not saying that's the case, but it could happen. So I just play it safe and maybe take shares. Or if you're going to play options, play further dated options. Leap calls that would be expiring maybe in January or February of next year. So yeah, this is a quick analysis, like I said, of Enphase. I'd be watching. Let's start with 80. If we can't hold 80, if we can't get over 80, let's look for pullbacks into these zones here I mentioned. And define your risk tight. If you're adding shares, don't just hold and hold and hold. Like, see how we react around these key levels I outlined. If we're just slicing through our support levels here, cut the position and re-enter, see what happens if we get down here, you know. But yeah, just a quick recap of Enphase and some things I'm seeing. It's a name that's on the list, definitely, because you just see we have all these gaps to fill here. And it could set up a very nice bounce trade to the upside. Who knows? Maybe we could revisit 115. It was just that in October. So let's see how things play out. And thank you for watching. If you have any questions, drop them in the comment section. Appreciate it.